Welcome to Friends and Fiction. 4 New York Times bestselling authors, endless stories. Novelists Mary Kay Andrews, Kristin Harmel, Kristy Woodson Harvey, and Patti Callahan Henry are 4 longtime friends with more than 70 published books between them. Together, they host Friends and Fiction, with author interviews and fascinating insider talk about publishing and writing, to highlight and support independent bookstores. They discuss the books they've written, the books they're reading now, and the art of storytelling. If you love books and you're curious about the writing world, you're in the right place.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Kay Andrews, and welcome to the Friends and Fiction Show.
And I'm Meg Walker.
This is Friends and Fiction, 4 New York Times bestselling authors, endless stories to support indie bookstores, authors, and librarians.
And if you're not with us already, we hope you'll join our Facebook group, which is more than 250,000 members strong. We'd also like to invite you to follow us on Instagram and YouTube and to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, which is full of awesome bonus content. You can find out more about our community and all we have to offer at friendsandfiction.com.
Yeah, and with so many exciting things going on in our community, I want to remind you that our live and in-person event coming up on Tuesday, June 17th, we will all be together again at the Jersey Shore to celebrate Kristin's The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau for an event hosted by Booktown at the Algonquin Theater in Manasquan. Tickets for the event are on sale now, so act fast and get yours before they sell out. Now, today, we are so excited to kick off our summer beach party with a bunch, like half a dozen of our favorite author friends. Considering all the awesome summer reads coming out this beach read season, we figured we had to do a rare group episode. And, the future for this season's beach books looks so bright, we all had to wear shades.
True. I can't see with my shades on. So. Anyway, let's introduce you guys to our friends.
Yeah, Annabelle Monahan is the USA Today bestselling and Library Reads Hall of Fame author of Summer Romance, Same Time Next Summer, and Nora Goes Off Script, as well as 2 young adult novels, and Does This Volvo Make My Butt Look Big? A selection of laugh out loud columns that appeared in the Huffington Post, The Week, and the Rye Record. She lives in Connecticut with her family. Her novels have been translated into 20 languages. Her novel, It's a Love Story, was just released May 27th.
And Meg Mitchell-Moore worked for several years as a journalist for a variety of publications before turning to fiction. She lives in the beautiful coastal town of Newburyport, Mass, with her husband and their 3 daughters. Mansion Beach is her 9th novel and was just released on May 27th.
Martha Hall Kelly is the New York Times bestselling author of Lilac Girls, Lost Roses, Sunflower Sisters, and The Golden Dove. Born and raised in Massachusetts, she was inspired to write her new novel by her mother's family, the Smiths, who settled on Martha's Vineyard in 1891.
Wow.
Yeah, she earned journalism degrees from both Syracuse and Northwestern universities and worked as an advertising copywriter for many years before becoming a novelist. With more than 2 million copies of her books sold and translated in 50 countries, Martha Hall Kelly lives in Litchfield, Connecticut, and Hobe Sound, Florida. Her new novel, The Martha's Vineyard Beach and Book Club, was just released May 27th.
Wendy Francis is a former book editor at Houghton Mifflin and the author of 7 novels, including Feels Like Summer, Summertime Guests, The Summer of Good Intentions, and 3 Good Things. Her writing has also appeared in Good Housekeeping, The Washington Post, and NPR's Cognoscenti, among others. A graduate of Harvard, she lives outside Boston with her husband and 16-year-old son. Her new novel, Betting on Good, was just released on May 1st.
Amy Mason Doan is the best-selling author of The Summer List, Summer Hours, Lady Sunshine, and The California Dreamers. She earned a BA in English from UC Berkeley and an MA in journalism from Stanford University, and has written for The Oregonian, San Francisco Chronicle, and Forbes, among other publications. She grew up in Danville, California, and now lives in Portland, Oregon with her family. Her new novel, The California Dreamers, was released earlier this spring on April 8th. And Brooke Lee Foster is an award-winning journalist whose articles have appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post magazine, The Atlantic, the Boston Globe magazine, and People, among others. An alumna of the Writing Institute at Sarah Lawrence College, she is the author of 3 nonfiction books and the novels Summer Darlings, On Gin Lane, and All the Summers in Between. Her new novel, Our Last Vineyard Summer, is set to be released on July 1st.
And you all already know and love our own Mary Kay Andrews. For anyone new in the audience, Mary Kay Andrews is the New York Times bestselling author of 32 novels and 1 cookbook, with millions of copies of her books sold around the world, who has been a staple on bestseller lists every year for the past 2 decades. A former journalist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Her novel, Summers at the Saint, just came out in paperback this week.
Sean, can you bring the ladies on? Hey, welcome everybody. We're so glad to see you all came dressed for the occasion. You know, we took our sun hats off because they were giving us hat hair and sunglasses for an all-around beach party.
Oh,
Meg,
I have to see.
I know.
Yes, let's take them off, guys. That's funny. Okay. Well, since there's so many, look at this group. Oh my goodness. This is really a treat. Such a treat. We haven't done a group episode with more than one guest in a really long time.
Yeah.
But because there's so many of us, we're going to structure things a little bit differently on this episode. So we have a few discussion questions for all of you to answer, and then we're going to move on to a fun lightning round. Mary Kay, do you want to kick things off with the first question?
Yeah, let's talk about setting. Would each of you tell us where your new book is set and why you chose that location? Annabelle, we're going to start with you. Aren't you glad? Well, actually, Amy is alphabetically first, but we're going to have to start with you because you're on the script that way, honey. I'm sorry.
Annabelle, you're on mute. Annabelle's muted.
I am. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Great. Just me here to just completely screw up your whole thing. So my setting for It's a Love Story, it starts in Los Angeles, which is where I grew up. It's a Hollywood story. So it starts out in Hollywood. And my characters, Jane and Dan, need to travel to solve a problem during the story. And they go to see his family. And I knew that his family was an East Coast family. And they felt like they might live on Long Island. And so I set the bulk of the story on Long Island in the town that I made up for my book, Same Time Next Summer. So they go back to Oak Shore, New York, which is a town that I made up where regular people can afford homes on the water.
Imagine that.
Yes, I am in the fantasy business. And so that's what I'm giving you. You are a teacher. And in the summertime, you go to your home on the ocean. Yes.
Imagine that. I love it.
Everyone does. Okay, Meg Mitchell-Moore, you're up.
My novel, Mansion Beach, is set on Block Island, which, for those who don't know, is a small island off the coast of Rhode Island. And I have set 2 of my previous novels there, so I wanted to revisit it for a third one. And I also, it had the right kind of geography that I needed for certain things that happened in the novel that I could set up on an island. And I also like to bring back recurring characters occasionally. So I had a couple people I wanted to see again in this novel.
That's awesome. I love Block Island.
Yeah.
Me too.
Martha, tell us about your setting.
Obviously, in the title gives it away.
Right. I set the Martha's Vineyard Beach and Book Club on Martha's Vineyard because it's a story about my mom and how she grew up during World War II out on the vineyard. But it's a dual timeline. So it starts in current day Martha's Vineyard, and then we get to go back and experience 1942 Martha's Vineyard. Way less traffic back then, which is
cheaper prices. Hey, Wendy, tell us about the setting for your new book.
So my setting for Betting on Good is the Kentucky Derby in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was on my husband's and my bucket list for ages. And we finally decided to go back in 2023. And it is everything and more than you imagine when you watch it on TV. It's such a spectacle that, the fancy hats, the outfits, the men dress up dapper too in suits with horses on them. And the booze is flowing, the horses are racing, there's money, there's, all opportunities for bad behavior. And so it was a really fun novel to write in that regard. And also, I just love the fact that I've been thinking about, I like writing about relationships, and I've been thinking of two couples who are longtime friends. So they've been almost next door neighbors for over 10 years. And I wanted to explore both the relationships within each marriage, because they've all been married for about 10 years or over 10 years, and the friendship, and so the Derby was just a perfect setting for spectacle. And you think everyone is dressed to the nines and is living this, life of perfection and happiness and bliss. And so it's the perfect kind of foil to these two couples and their lives, and exploring their marriages and the ups and downs of marriages and friendship.
Love it.
Amy, you're up. Tell us about your setting.
Hey, the California Dreamers is set up and down the coast of California, and also on one of the Channel Islands, the little islands off of Santa Barbara. You probably know Catalina.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I set it there is because it's loosely based on a real family. It's about a surf van family that roamed up and down the coast in a van with 9 children in the 60s and 70s. Didn't go to school, and they were surfers and lived off the grid. So they were the inspiration. And also, I am a California girl at heart, always will be, even if I live in Oregon now. And I'm in California right now at my mom's house in San Francisco.
Nice.
Brooke, tell us about your setting.
Well, I'm a little bit different from you, Amy, because I'm an East Coast girl, and I'm a little obsessed with New England summer islands. So I got married on Block Island. I was telling Meg that. And we go to Nantucket every summer for a quick weekend, because I just have to touch its shores. And then we spend a couple weeks on Martha's Vineyard. And one of my previous books was also set in Martha's Vineyard. I feel like I get so many ideas there. And we were staying in a rental house in Edgartown. And I happened to bring my dog that summer, which was kind of a mistake. But anyway, I was getting up every day early and walking the dog around historic Edgartown, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a lot of beautiful antique homes with shingles or white planking and tidy black shutters and hydrangeas spilling over white picket fences. It just really looks perfect. And whenever I see perfect houses, I always start to wonder, what are the problems inside? Like, what's really going on in these houses? And I started just thinking about complicated summer families. And when everyone sort of piles in a beach house, what kind of dynamics unfold. And the connection to DC and Martha's Vineyard, I lived in Washington for so long. And so many people vacation there, especially in Edgartown from DC. So I started just envisioning this Washington family who would go to the vineyard in the 60s and 70s, because I always have to set my books in the past, because I love those eras. And just what their lives would be like. I pictured this Washington senator father and this like iconic Gloria Steinem, like feminist mother, and their 3 girls. And I just got so taken with picturing where they lived, and I started hearing their voices around town and kind of seeing them ride their bikes by. And it got completely solidified. You guys all know the magic that happens in writing sometimes when we're just daydreaming, coming up with an idea, because in the rental house where I was staying, there was this big antique map in the living room of Martha's Vineyard. And I would just kind of stare at it as I was daydreaming and thinking about this idea. And one day I kind of got really close to it, and I was reading some of, the language, and then it said cartographer Charles Whiting. And I was like, oh my God, that's the father. He's Charlie Whiting. Now, he's not a cartographer in my book. He's a state senator, but it just was this thing. It was like a lightning bolt where as soon as I had the name, I could see the story. So
I love it when that happens.
Yeah. Mary Kay, what about you? Summers at the Saint.
Summers at the Saint is set at an iconic fictional family-owned resort on the Georgia coast. The name of the resort is the St. Cecilia, and it's inspired by, but not drawn from, Sea Island and the Cloister. And I needed a beach town where I would have this really sort of millionaire's playground, but just across the river from this millionaire's playground, on the other side of the security gate, is a real blue collar working class town. And so that's why that's how you got Summers at the Saint and the Saint Cecilia.
Love it. Okay, now we can all make our itinerary for our next beach vacation.
Yeah.
I want to go to all of them. All right, so now in a few sentences, I'd love for each of you guys to give us a quick description of what your most recent novel is about. And if you can swing it, our favorite question on the show is usually, what's the novel really about at its core? So Mary Kay, since you went last time, let's have you go first.
Yeah, Summers at the Saint is about a young woman who marries. She's from the wrong side of the river. In this town, there are people who belong to the Saint Cecilia or the Saints. And if you don't, if you live on the other side of the river, you're an ain't. And she is definitely, my character is definitely an ain't. She's married into this very wealthy family, generational wealth. And then she and her husband are running the hotel. And their husband dies in a tragic plane crash. And she has to deal with this really poisonous set of in-laws who are sort of trying to drive her out of the business. And there's an old murder and a new murder and a second chance at love.
Love it. There's a lot of killing in this book. It's good. Okay, Brooke.
So my novel is about three sisters who are called home. They're adult sisters, and they're at all different big kind of turning points in their life. And they're called home to the family beach house in Martha's Vineyard by their mother, because their United States Senator father tragically passed away a year before. And they're told that they're going to have to sell the beach house. And as they're kind of packing up their belongings and getting ready to sell, they discover some secrets about their family that they didn't know before. And they're forced to kind of reckon with who their parents really were and what their relationships with them, really meant to them. So I would say it's uplifting, but also somewhat heartbreaking. I think it's a book for sisters. I think what it's really about is the stuff sisters put each other through, the way we love each other. I'm one of three sisters, so we love each other fiercely, but we compete fiercely. And also because it is dual timeline and dual POV, and one of the POVs is from the mother's point of view. And I think it's about the terror of potentially raising kids and being considered a bad mom. And I think it's because I have young kids and I'm always terrified I'm doing something that's going to mess with them. So I work out some of that stuff in this book.
Love it. Amy.
So The California Dreamers is about a woman who grows up in a van, roaming up and down the West Coast, surfing and swimming with her family. In my story, she has three brothers. Again, it's loosely based on a real family, but I made it a little smaller. And later in life, she is called back to the memorial of her father, a bit like Brooke's book. And the family gathers on this wild island where they're not supposed to even be. And they're just going to do a simple memorial service. But of course, it's a novel, so it can't be simple. And they are forced to confront their very mixed feelings about their upbringing, the beauty of it and the pain of it, not going to school, but having this freedom. So what it's really about, I think, is something I wrote on a little Post-it note and kept on my MacBook when I was writing, kind of a little epigraph. Oh. And it said, who defines freedom for me? So when I first heard about the family, it just sounded so idyllic and perfect. They worshiped the father. He was certainly a lovely man in a lot of ways. But later, when I had a daughter of my own, I started to ask more questions about their life, rules, and, they lived this free life, but he kind of made the rules for them. And my main character, Ronan, kind of bristles at those rules. So, beauty and pain and family and love and hopefully resolution and healing at the end.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks.
Wendy.
Okay, so Betting on Good is about these two Boston couples, Drew and Nate, and Leslie and Graham are their names. And Drew has just celebrated her 40th birthday, and her husband has bought her tickets to the Kentucky Derby. Nice seats, but not so nice that, they can't afford them. That's fancy adjacent seats. They're not in the infield, I guess. Yes.
Right.
So, yeah, a woman on the plane, actually, when we were flying down, because we had to go visit for research, she said, so where are you sitting? And we said, well, we're not, high up, but we're not in the bleachers either. And she said, I gotcha. You're fancy adjacent. I thought that sums up my whole life. Yeah. But never quite there. But anyway, so these two couples have been friends for over a decade. They live in the same neighborhood, and they're really looking forward to getting out for a long weekend and celebrating the Derby and, maybe having a few mint juleps and buying some fancy hats and dresses and betting on horses. So they go there expecting a fun-filled weekend. And as the story unfolds, you come to see that they've come with very different expectations for what this weekend might possibly mean. And it's those expectations that kind of collide that create some of the drama in here. And what the story really is about, I guess, is just set against the background of this great spectacle and pageantry and a day where we can all pretend we're queens or what have you. There's there you get to see through the backstories. These marriages have had a lot of ups and downs, and the friendship. I also wanted to explore the friendship between two adult couples who are kind of in that place where you're trying to, I think, figure out midlife. You're trying to figure out which friends are really your good friends and which are more kind of acquaintances, and trying to figure out what everything means to you in your marriages and in your friendships. So I thought it was an interesting look at the reality, kind of pulling back the screen between, in this place where everything is about spectacle.
I love it. Martha.
Martha's Vineyard Beach and Book Club is about Mari Starwood, this 30-year-old woman, arrives on Martha's Vineyard from Los Angeles, and she has found in her mother's things after her mom passed away the address of a famous painter on Martha's Vineyard. So she comes there under the guise of taking a painting class to confront this writer at her gorgeous waterfront farm. And she says to the woman, my mother never left California. What were you doing talking to her? What's going on? And the famous painter, Elizabeth Devereux, says, well, that's not true. Your mother did leave California, and you need to sit down while I tell you the story of these two sisters that used to live in this house. The sisters are named Cadence and Briar. Cadence is based on my mother. She's very, very into books. Can't wait to get off the island and go to New York to be a publisher. And her little sister, Briar, is more, I guess today we'd call her neurodivergent. She's really into Nazis and combs the beach. Well, not into that. The whole, like everything connected to, their equipment and what's going on with the war. And she combs the beach looking for things that are coming off of downed ships. And so Mari eventually, going back and forth in the timeline, finds out how she's connected to these women, and she finds her family. And what it's really about is, what do you do when a mysterious German man washes up on your Martha's Vineyard beach?
Wow. Meg.
Mansion Beach is inspired by The Great Gatsby. It's not a retelling. It's inspired by. It has a contemporary setting, and the genders are flipped. And it's basically about three women caught up in a summer of intrigue and betrayals and class warfare on Block Island. There's a little bit of a mystery to it. There's a dead body. Gatsby has 3 dead bodies. This has 1. It's really about, it's about all those things. I think it's also really about, is there such a thing as the American dream? And can you change social classes in this country? And what is the cost if you try to do that?
Oh, I love it. And Mansion Beach is an actual beach, right? In Block Island?
Actual beach on Block Island. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Annabelle.
I really want to go to Block Island now.
Oh,
You
so
need to
good.
go. Yeah,
It's
it's
great.
wonderful.
I've never been.
No, I haven't either.
It's a Love Story is the story of Jane Jackson. She is a former teen star on America's 5th most popular sitcom. And she was that person on the show that would get the milkshake in the face at the end or sit down on the plate of nachos and everyone would laugh. And now she's all grown up and she's trying to make it as a producer at Hollywood. And it's her big day. She's about to get her first project greenlit. Everything's going to work out great for her. The project starts to fall apart. And in an act of desperation, she tells a really big lie just to buy herself a little bit of time. And so now to make that lie true, which is basically what the rest of the book is, she has to rely on the one guy that she absolutely cannot stand, this pompous cinematographer named Dan, whose, spoiler, is the most adorable man I've ever met. I adore him.
More adorable than your skateboarding guy.
I mean, that guy is a loser. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I got to meet Dan.
Oh,
Wow.
you really do have to meet Dan. Anyway, so they go on this journey to get this film made. What the story is really about is about all the stories that we hear about ourselves when we're growing up. And some of those things we just pick up on, sometimes we're actually told stories about ourselves. And looking at those stories as adults to see if they're even true. You know, if somebody told you that you were unworthy when you were growing up, like, was that about them and not about you? And maybe you need to let some of that stuff go.
I love it.
Good answer. Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, ladies, I'm going to ask you the recipe. What is the secret sauce that makes a great summer read or beach book? Wendy, what are your thoughts?
There's so many, right? But I think the one for me, it's great characters. You know, there's got to be a relationship in there, whether it's a love relationship or a sister relationship or whatever you have. I just think that to propel the story forward, you have to have really intriguing, not necessarily relatable, but characters who you want to find out more about.
Martha, what are your thoughts?
I think anything. This is my first beach book. I usually get published in April, so it's been so much fun. I love being a summer book, but I think anything that keeps you turning pages, for me anyway, because there's so much else to distract you at the beach and in the summer. So anything really gripping, not too heavy, and extra points for having like a really hot guy.
Yeah.
I have a British one in mind who I'm madly in love with. So yeah.
All right.
Okay, Meg, what are your thoughts?
I think you need a little suspense if you can swing it, a lot of character development, a really good setting, and at least one signature cocktail. If you can have more than that, that's great. My characters can handle a lot more cocktails than I can handle, so I always have fun writing them drinking because I can't do it.
What's their signature cocktail?
It's a mudslide in this book.
Of
Block
course
Island
it
is famous for its mudslides.
That is the drink of Block Island.
Yeah, the cover even has a couple mudslides tipped over. Yeah, they're
Oh,
so
that's
good.
right.
If you go, you have to get one or more. They're so good.
It does. There's the mudslide.
Yeah, there's the mudslide.
Okay, Annabelle, what's the secret ingredient?
I have to care right away. So I can't be a book where on page 50, I'm like, I hope this works out for this person. I really want to care by like the 8th page, what happens to the character that I'm reading about. And that's what keeps me turning the pages.
Brooke, how about you? What's the secret sauce?
So you guys said everything. You stole all my answers. But no, I grew up out on Eastern Long Island, just kind of wandering the beach barefoot as a kid. And I think, I really have always believed in the power of a transformative summer and how much personal growth we do during summer, whether you're at a beach, a pool, a lake. I don't know. I think you do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of daydreaming. So I love books where you really feel like you've grown with the character in some way. Where you feel like you lived that summer with them, or even it doesn't have to necessarily be the whole time in summer, but I do love books that are summer reads. I mean, it's why I became a fiction writer, because I love the beach read. So I'm all about like personal growth and change in summer.
Love it.
That's great.
Okay. Lightning round time. Oh, wait,
Amy.
no, I'm sorry. Amy, I'm sorry.
Okay, last but not least. So agree with all of the above. And I don't know if I have the perfect recipe. I think it depends on the author, it depends on the reader, but a couple other ingredients in addition to just terrific storytelling, because you're competing with, a nap on a lounge chair. It's got to be terrific storytelling, but also I think a beautiful outdoor setting that, maybe I don't like to read indoor cubicle books when I'm on the beach. And then an ending, or at least a tone that's joyful, not trite or, not necessarily happily ever after or shallow, but life affirming or joyful. So you're not depressed on your vacation.
That's a great point.
That's a good one.
Nobody
Mary
likes
Kay,
that.
Mary Kay, you didn't answer this one. What are your thoughts?
I really think I want a book that's delicious. So a setting that puts me in a escape mode, whatever that is. I want to escape. And delicious characters, witty banter. I love good witty banter and again, you got to set that hook so fast, especially with a summer beach read. The hook is key. If you don't get me with the hook in that first chapter, I'm going on with something else.
I hear you. All right, why don't we go quick around the horn? And what about the moniker beach reads? Do you guys love it or hate it, or not? Does not bother you? Mary Kay?
I'm fine with it. I hate when people treat beach reads as guilty pleasures. That annoys the shit out of me.
Nothing guilty about.
Yeah, why should I be feel
enjoying it.
guilty about enjoying a book?
Right. Brooke?
Yeah. That some beach reads are light and some are literary. If you look at Emma Cline's The Guest, was that last summer or the summer before? I mean, it was a literary novel, but it was so light and so fast and so fun and so immersive. So, it I guess in some ways it cheapens it, but for me, I embrace it because I love writing beach reads. I love reading beach reads, and I don't singularly define them as just being light. There's such a thing as a beach read with tea.
Yeah. Amy?
Love it now. I had to come to terms with it because I think it can be used in a disparaging way by some people. But generally, I think beach readers are really passionate, tough readers, and they have high standards. So I really do love it. Now, it's an honor to make it into a beach bag. You can make or break someone's vacation or their day off. I don't want to break it.
All right.
So love it now.
I love it. Meg?
I'd say love it. Same thing. I think I've had occasions where I feel like if somebody says, what kind of books do you write? And I think, do I say general fiction or do I say beach read? That gets a little confusing, but I love that there are beach read tables in every bookstore, and it's an honor to be on them, and they get a lot of eyes and a lot of lists. So in general, I'm very happy with it.
Wendy?
Yeah, I mean, same. I think when initially women's fiction started to, be that handle of summer reads or beach reads, it was kind of disparaging, I think. But, if you had a male reader who had written a thriller that was a good summer read, you could classify it as, oh, it's a great summer read. And there wasn't that kind of condescension, I almost feel like, that accompanied that with women who were writing those books. But now I think just in terms of marketing, there are so many books out there, and to fall into a category of beach reads or summer reads or family drama, I really think that's a plus to get, as Meg said, eyeballs on it in the store and and to get people to pay attention. And it's easier too, I think, to maybe get some review coverage because people can group beach reads together. You know, you can have multiple group reviews and things like that. So I do think it's a good opportunity just to reach more readers.
Well, Martha, this is a new category for you.
I know, it's so exciting. I usually write about like World War II and, terrible, awful stuff. So this is so fun. And the other day, somebody asked interview, are you okay with being called a beach read? I was like, please bring it on. I think to be able to be on someone's beach towel on the beach, and I'm so excited.
Yeah. Annabelle?
Well, I love writing summer books. I think everything is better when you've just got a little bit of salt on your skin and just like sand in your toes. I love that. I don't love when somebody says, I normally read Tolstoy.
Who says that?
Someone. Probably. But now I'm just going to read something dumb and easy. And then they bring up one of my books. I write them and they're not easy to write.
No.
So I just think there's sometimes there's just this dismissiveness about beach reads that gets under my sandy skin.
Agreed. Well, as Mary Kay's first editor, Eamon Dolan, once told us, the easier it is to read, the harder it was to write.
Ooh,
so, right? I mean, it's right. Like it's not easy what you guys are doing at all. And also, they like to call it commercial fiction, and to me, that just means it sells. So great, call it that.
I know. I love it when people, when I meet somebody and they say, "Well, what kind of books do you write?" I say, "Oh, the kind people buy." That kind.
That's great answer.
Look, most people read more in the summer than any other time. And if you're gonna like Amy said, if you're gonna, or which one of you said, like if you're gonna make it into the beach bag, great.
Yeah.
All right, time for the lightning round.
Okay.
All right. Present company excluded. In your opinion, when you think of beach reads, who is a master of the genre? Annabelle.
Ellen Hildebrand.
Meg.
Ellen Hildebrand was my answer too.
All right, Martha.
I thought you meant my genre, which is historical fiction. So Kristin Harmel. Yeah, Kristin Harmel is definitely the queen of historical fiction.
Absolutely. Wendy.
I'd say Ellen Hildebrand too.
Oh boy. Amy.
Rosamund Pilcher.
Love her.
Yeah.
Brooke.
So aside from Queen Ellen, I would say Beatrice Williams. She's my favorite. I love because she writes historical fiction, and that's what I love to write. So I loved her first novel. Actually, it was her second novel, 100 Summers. I always say it's her first novel, but it was her first novel I discovered. And it was the first time I read a historical beach novel where I just thought, oh my God, if I could write something like this is what I want to do.
Oh, that's great. Mary Kay.
Catherine Center, and she cemented it for me with the first one of hers that I read was Things You Save in a Fire. And that book goes in my treasure chest of most loved reads, definitely.
I love it. Okay. An unsung hero or an up-and-comer. Name an author in any genre that you wish more people knew about. Meg.
Oh, so this doesn't really count. She's not unsung because she's amazing and people know her. But Tana French, I just wish more people would read her in the summer because I was trying to think of books that really hook you and that will keep you. They're not summer books at all, but they are so wonderful.
Yeah. The Searchers for me was just like, wow.
Yeah. She's incredible. Yeah.
Great. Martha.
Oh, I'm in the middle of Jane Yang's Lotus Shoes right now. This cover.
Oh.
And I think that everyone should read this. It's so good.
Oh, I love that. We're going to have to make a list. Wendy.
Let's see. Christina Clancy is this. She just wrote Snowbirds, and she's also from Wisconsin, which is my home state. So shout out to her.
Love her. Amy.
I wouldn't say she's unsung. She's sung, but an unsung hero in the U.S. is a writer I recently discovered named Santa Montefiore. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. British and huge in Europe. And I recently picked up Secrets of the Lighthouse. And then I'm just going through all her books. I think more people need to read her in the US.
Okay.
Love it. Brooke.
So I love Amy Popel's books. I think she's an amazing talent. She's hilarious. She's insightful. I spent a week in St. John reading. Actually, it was probably like a day on St. John reading The Sweet Spot when it came out. I loved that book. I'm so excited for her new one, Far and Away. And as far as like a beach read writer who I think, Jane Rosen, I love her book Set on Fire Island. She's a sweetheart and she's got great stories and I love her characters and I love her settings. So.
MKA.
You know, Colleen Oakley is not that she's unsung. She's just not sung enough. Her most recent one, Jane and Dan at the End of the World, which has the same character names as Annabelle's book. Colleen writes such wildly original books that I'm just really a fan of hers.
I agree. Her Invisible Husband of Frick Island is one of my favorite all time.
Yes.
Annabelle.
So original.
God, I loved Jane and Dan at the End of the World so much. There is a Canadian author named Maggie North who has a book coming out, I believe in July, called The Ripple Effect. It's her second book. And for me, she writes rom-coms that have like that little bit of extra weight and thoughtfulness that just like make them stay with you forever. I think she's fantastic.
Love it. I'm going to chime in. I'm going to say Julie Clark. Has anyone ever read hers? She's got one coming out called The Ghostwriter. Her previous thriller, they're like thrillers, but she writes a female con artist like nobody's business. And if you liked First Lie Wins, the book that was everywhere last summer, you would love Julie Clark.
Yeah. Loved. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have an all-time favorite beach read, Martha?
I love Wedding People.
I love that book too.
I did too.
I want to go back and reread it. It was so good.
Yeah. Wendy.
Oh gosh, there's so many to choose from. I mean, I loved Ellen Hildebrand's Barefoot. That was, I think, the first book of hers I discovered. So that's a classic. And I also loved Eleanor Lippman's Isabel's Bed, which was set on the Cape, about a ghost writer. And so funny and witty and a great setting and concept. So I think those two are kind of neck and neck for me.
I love that. Amy.
I thought about this a lot. I'm going to go with Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. Queen Judy. Love you.
The queen.
I read that often, reread it often.
Brooke.
So I already said 100 Summers by Beatrice Williams, but I loved Maine by J. Courtney Sullivan.
Yeah.
I love J. Courtney Sullivan. I just think she writes so smart and so beautifully. And I also loved Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. There's something about that book, the story of the family. Those characters have stayed with me for some reason, the siblings. And I just love the way she went back in time to the 50s and examined the parent relationship.
Yeah, I love that book too. Mary Kay.
Heavy Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes. I loved that book. Yeah. And it's sort of that high you keep hoping for, right? In a beach book, you're like, okay, is that going to stand up?
Yeah.
Am I going to take this to heart the way I took Abby Drake to heart? And that's a high hurdle for me.
I love that book too. She's quirky. I feel like she's quirky like Colleen Oakley is too.
Yeah.
Annabelle.
I would say The Promise by Danielle Steele.
Oh.
I grew up in the 70s, and I think that's when I read that book. Read it. It's really, really good, and you won't go to sleep until you finish it.
Wow.
That's like the old V.C. Andrews Flowers in the Attic. What is that the one where they like all living in that? Yeah, I feel like high school, right? Like
this isn't that creepy. This is related. I'm not leading you down a bad path here.
Okay.
But it's a great book.
Meg.
I think a lot about the book We Were Liars. It's a young adult novel by E.K. Lockhart. I think it's the book so often. I loved it. It's such a mystery that I could never have figured out. But it also, the setting, it's an imaginary island that belongs to a wealthy family. The setting is so clear and so clear in my mind. And I really think about it a lot. And I wish I could write a book like that. It's
I
really
agree.
good. If you
That's the
haven't
one
read
with
it,
the
read it.
big house and the kids.
Yeah. And there's also a prequel that is equally good. And that's
Oh,
rare.
really?
So that's, yeah, I forgot what it's called. Some Family of Liars, I think. Also really good. So I just love the whole world that author built is incredible.
Oh, I agree. Okay. Name a song that feels like summer to you, Wendy.
Hootie and the Blowfish, Hold My Hand, just because I was at a beach party back in the day when I was young, and that song was playing in the background. You know, there's romance in the air, so that's my
Oh,
summer.
I love it.
Summer song.
Amy.
Our Last Summer by ABBA, but bonus points for the version from Mamma Mia that Colin Firth and Amanda Seyfried sing.
Oh,
You get a little
I
Colin
love it.
Firth, Mr. Darcy in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you
Perfect.
not love him? Brooke.
I feel like we're all dating ourselves here with our summer songs, right? But mine is Vacation All You Ever Wanted by the Go-Go's. I feel
love
like
the
every
Go-Go's.
time we pull out of our driveway to drive anywhere in summer, I like always put that on. The kids are like, okay, Mom, enough of the Go-Go's.
Mary Kay.
Well, I'm really super dating myself because mine is Sly and the Family Stones, Hot Fun in the Summertime.
Yeah.
I can my home beach is Paso Girl Beach in St. Pete, Florida, and I can remember my husband and I went back for a high school reunion, and we were crossing over the last bridge to get to Paso Girl, and that song came on in my car radio, and I'm like, I'm home, and it's summer.
Oh, love it. Annabelle.
I'd say The Boys of Summer by Don.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I grew up just driving down the Pacific Coast Highway, windows down, blasting that song. Feels like summer.
Love it. Meg.
I'm going to undate myself with this one, but Solar Power by Lord is a song I have loved over the past few summers.
Oh, I gotta listen to that. Martha.
I love Jump Up Behind Me by James Taylor. It might not be on everyone's playlist, but it just, I don't know. It makes me feel like it's summer.
Who doesn't love James Taylor? Wait, Meg, doesn't Lord have a new album out?
Does, and she's gonna tour. Yeah.
Just touring.
She's so talented. Okay. All right, this is a quick one. Beach, pool, lake, or river? Amy.
Beach.
Yeah.
Beach.
Brooke.
Beach, but beach with a pool, even better.
Yeah. Mary Kay.
Beach.
Annabelle.
Beach.
Meg.
Beach with lake really close second.
Lake close second? Oh, nice.
Very close
Martha.
second, yeah.
Definitely beach.
And Wendy.
Beach, and like Meg, close second with the lake.
I love it. I threw river in because I know that's Patti Callahan Henry's happy place.
Oh, yeah.
And no one said it, but shout out to Patti because I know she loves the river. Okay, what's always in your beach bag, Brooke?
I would say I'm such pale skin, so I'm a little bit of crazy about sunblock. So I love Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. I live with it like all summer long. It's not greasy. It moisturizes your skin and protects you.
All right.
Super nerd
Advertisement.
Notes taken. Mary Kay.
Well, I was gonna say sunblock because I'm the same. I have that pale Irish skin that burns if you open the refrigerator door. Maybe I'll say a chilled Diet Coke.
Annabelle.
Bug spray. I think that has to do with where I live, but it gets kind of buggy.
Meg.
Sunscreen, book, and water.
Martha.
I would have to agree with Brooke that sunscreen, because I'm so pale, and I love Supergoop. That, it is the best sunscreen. I have to.
I'm telling you guys, our Unseen Sunscreen is made just for your face, so it's glorious. You don't ever look greasy and gross.
And you think that it's going to be greasy when you put it on, right? The first time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a miracle product.
I'm buying some. I'm gonna hit them up for some advertising dollars.
Yeah, sponsored by Supergoop.
Wendy.
I always need to make sure that I have my my sunglass readers because I can't read my book if I forgot my sunglasses readers.
You could be like me and wear your readers with your sunglasses over them just so that your kids can be like, ew, cringe.
I've been known to do that when I forget my readers. So
Yeah. Amy.
Rocks that I have collected. I'm sort of obsessed with collecting pretty rocks on the shore, and then I bring them home, and I made this display thing with a Moncala board that I got from Goodwill, and I group them, and then sometimes I spray them with water to see what they look like when they're wet again. It's getting a little bit extreme, I think.
I love it. I love it. Okay, favorite summer activity, Mary Kay.
Well, junking, but I'm an all-season hobbyist.
Annabelle.
Picnicking at the beach with my family.
I love it. Meg.
Hiking.
Cool. Martha.
Swimming. I'm a huge swimmer. We have a pool here in Connecticut too. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Wendy.
Actually going to my in-laws' place on the lake. It's a really serene, kind of calm area where the kids can also entertain themselves. So it's a nice setting.
Amy.
Lying in my backyard hammock with a good book and an iced coffee.
Ooh, I want to go. Brooke.
I really use my summer for daydreaming. So I know I sound like this flighty. I mean, I'm literally yelling at the kids, chasing them down the beach. It's not like I sit there in this dreamy state, but when I can be in a lounge chair with like my notebook and looking out at the water and daydreaming and coming up with another book, like I'm in my happy place.
Well, that's working, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that what Anna Quinlan said when she was on the show with us? She said, like, people think I'm not working, but when you're out walking, like it's all part of the process, right? You're still writing.
It's true. And it's my favorite part because all year long I'm writing, but in summer I like to like come up with the ideas, organize them, come up with the story, you know.
It's all part of it. All right, back to the writing. What's a setting that you have not written yet, but really want to? Annabelle.
I'd really like to write about the summers that I had growing up in Los Angeles. So that sort of, Santa Monica Beach summer with the surfing and the beach volleyball and all that kind of thing.
Love it. Meg?
I'd like to hit up a lake. I've written so many ocean coastal books, but maybe Sebago Lake in Maine I'm kind of intrigued by.
Oh. All right. Martha?
Laurel Canyon in the 70s.
Oh, take me there.
I just pre-ordered it.
Such good news because that's my next book. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Sorry. Amy, Wendy?
What did I say?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I'll go and then Wendy.
Okay.
I would say Greece. There's an island that my now husband and I visited when we were in our 20s in the Dodecanese chain, little tiny island. So I would love to do that at some point.
Oh, that's exotic. Wendy.
You stole my answer. I
Really?
I've never gone to Greece. I've never been. And but Santorini is a place I always thought looks, at least from the pictures on my calendar, like it would be a great setting for a book.
Let's go and co-write it.
Art.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Brooke.
Like Meg, I'm also Maine. And I just love like the Mount Desert Island area, way up where it's rocky and wild and there's pine trees growing on the ocean. And I love it up there. So I need to set something up there so I can live up there for a while.
It's a different world. Yeah. Okay. Mary Kay.
Ireland. And coincidentally, my next book starts in Ireland and then goes to Savannah.
Wonderful.
Love it. Okay. And last but not least, what's the first thing you do after turning in a manuscript, Meg?
This is very uncool, but I usually just make a list of all the things I couldn't get to while I was writing so I can start doing them. It's terrible. It's not very celebratory at all.
Martha.
Mine's not celebratory either. I nap because I'm just exhausted at that point.
I can imagine. Wendy.
I don't know if I want to admit this, but I have been known to dance around the kitchen to Holiday, which is my favorite song, and with a glass of wine maybe. And in lieu of that, I sometimes go for a run. But that is like that's my thing.
Madonna
That's my
Holiday?
song. Holiday. Madonna.
Madonna. I love it.
Holiday.
Yeah, celebrate.
I won't sing it for you. You know it.
Yeah. Amy?
Probably take a bath because realistically, I haven't, showered in 14 hours. I've probably been hunched over the keyboard, and that's how I relax.
Love
Long
it.
bubble bath.
Us writers were really exciting. Because I was thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what? I hate to say it, because I've let everything go. I'm trying to finish, I'm like in the refrigerator cleaning out leftovers. It's just like everything piles up on you when you're finishing a novel. So like when I shut the computer, I'm super psyched, and then I'm like sweeping the floor. Like that's the honest answer. It's like catching up on life.
Very exotic.
Yes.
Mary Kay.
Well, I have a ritual because I'm Catholic when we need rituals. I pop a Wink grapefruit soda if I can find one. They're hard to find in Georgia. And then I have a Reese's cup
Oh,
to celebrate.
that's
Yeah.
a good ritual.
Love it. Annabelle?
I actually think that's the best answer, Mary Kay. I love that answer. I this is kind of true, is when I turn in a manuscript and I start another book. I mean, I feel like the timeline is such that I don't have a lot of like wiggle room. So the first thing I do is I put that book away. Like in my head, it is gone. And I try to clear my mind of those people, like their laundry that I've folded and I put back in the drawers, and they're gone because I need to move forward onto something else. So there's a little bit of a goodbye period.
Oh, I like that.
Everybody's different. All right, everybody, if you would stick around, we have more to talk to you about. But first, a few quick reminders for our listeners and viewers out there.
So for all of you watching and listening, we encourage you to rush out and buy your copies of all the exciting new novels we discussed today. The perfect place to do that is in the Friends and Fiction shop on bookshop.org. You'll not only be getting them at a discount, but all of your purchases there support our show, our guests, and indie bookstores nationwide. And even better news, we are running a giveaway of all 7 of these ladies' new books. Plus, we are adding our own Kristy Woodson Harvey's new book, Beach House Rules, to the mix. So that's 8 hot summer reads that are up for grabs. So visit the Friends and Fiction socials for all those deets, and so you can get in it to win it.
And don't forget to visit friendsandfiction.com for details on our show schedule, upcoming in-person events, and links to the award-winning Friends and Fiction official book club with Brenda and Lisa, our merch store, and our Substack newsletter sign-up.
Speaking of Substack, you can read all our free weekly posts on the Substack website or app, or subscribe for free to get them directly in your email inbox. And if you upgrade to paid, which costs just $5 a month, you'll have access to deeper dives with all of our weekly show guests, like all of these ladies you met on today's episode, plus monthly roundtable discussions like the one we just did with Ron, celebrating National Library Week, plus bonus Q&As with additional authors, like the recent ones we ran with Sarah Penner, Jill Santopolo, and Susan Mallory. If you enjoy tuning in for our weekly author interviews, this is a big way you can support us for about $1 a week. Check us out at friendsandfiction.substack.com.
All right, ladies, back to you. Would each of you tell our community how to connect with you online and in person, and if you're touring? So, Amy, we're going to start with you.
Yep. I am active on Instagram and Blue Sky, Amy Mason Doan. I am touring right now on the West Coast a little bit, and we'll be doing some more dates in Oregon and Washington.
Okay.
Awesome.
Brooke?
You can find me on Instagram, Brooke Lee Foster, Lea. I'm Brooke Lee Foster Writes on Facebook. I have a Substack called Dear Fiction, like my dear fiction, which is dearfiction.substack.com. And I am touring all over New England in July and August, but I'm not going to let it get in the way of a good summer.
There you go.
Meg?
Instagram is the best. I'm on Facebook, but I'm not very active there. So Instagram at Meg Mitchell Moore, and then My tour dates are on my website, megmitchellmore.com, and I'll be seeing Wendy and Annabelle in person this summer, which I'm very excited about.
Fun. I'm jealous. Wendy, where can we find you?
Instagram, Wendy Francis author, I believe. There are a lot of Wendy Francises, it seems. And then Facebook, Wendy Francis author. And then my website, which also has dates for readings or signings, and one with Meg in Plymouth, right? We're in Plymouth.
Yeah, we're in Plymouth.
Book club.
Martha?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, a new Substack called The Joys of Hidden History, and my website. And I am on a crazy fun tour starting May 27th. And all over East Coast, West Coast, and even Canada. I'm so excited. I don't know if they're going to let me back in the country after. For all the posts that I've liked. But it's going to be fun.
Right.
Annabelle?
So I am Annabelle Monahan on Instagram mostly, and sometimes on Facebook, not as much like Meg. I am on tour the whole month of June, and all of that information is on my website, which is annabellemonahan.com. And I have a Substack called Love Bites. It's a lot of nonsense, but it's free.
Free nonsense is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks to all of you guys so much for joining us today. This was such a pleasure to have you all here. What a group. So thank you for being with us on the Friends in Fiction show.
And be sure
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, be sure to tune in next week when Patti, Kristy, Kristin, and I will be together live to celebrate Kristin's new novel, The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau. That show will air live on the Friends in Fiction Facebook page and YouTube channel on Wednesday, June 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be published to our broadcast for your listening pleasure on Friday, June 13th.
All right. Thanks to all of you out there for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. You can join us every week on Facebook or YouTube, where our live show airs on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram. We're so